Direction can be defined as the path that leads to a desired destination. That destination can include an ideal situation, an educational achievement, a profession, or a financial accomplishment. You, as a woman, have never had greater freedom than you do today to choose a direction you want to take in life. You know this intellectually, but now is the time to embrace it emotionally and let it become personally true for you. To be truly happy, you want to take full responsibility for your success, to determine which direction you will travel in, and to make the important decision about your life independently. As you look at defining a direction in which you want for your life to go, it might help to break things down into questions or categories which you can ask yourself, make a list of these answers, and then think about. What seems like a big decision might actually be a series of small choices. Hello ladies, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking all about how you can set goals like an old money woman. If that sounds like your cup of tea, hello, my name is Nicole. I've been on a little bit of a level up journey. I have loved diving deep with you on the topic of old money and studying a few books. Now, this particular month, we are going into the Old Money, New Woman book, and I am learning so much, and I cannot wait every week to come and share my biggest findings with you. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, press like. And so I know that this is the type of content that you want to see from me. Equally, join this little community by pressing the subscribe button. I'd be so honored if you did so. So with that, let's talk a little bit more about goal setting and old money women. So after that first soundbite that we started the video with, it really got me thinking, what is my journey in life and how I've approached things and how I've spent my money? And without going too much into it, I think the biggest thing that I have learned is that most of the decisions I've made have been slightly accurate, but they could have been a little bit more accurate or a little bit more beneficial or a little bit more rewarding if I knew myself better. And with everything that we're going to talk about in this video, I think it's going to be great tips for you to apply. However, as much as I think that they're great, I think that if I didn't know myself, I still would apply these tips inaccurately. And so I just want to preface this by saying that. The first tip that I learned from this book, Old Money, New Woman, is to do work that you're passionate about. Mind-blowing, right? I feel like that is going to be a no-brainer, but yet I hear so many people going into so many professions because of the money and not because they actually enjoy it. And I think it's very hard to stay passionate about something if you do not enjoy it. And it was so nice to hear that confirmed in this book. Now, tip number 2 is to listen to your teachers, listen to your work or profession counselors, career counselors, I think they're called, and those people that are almost like a role model in your life because they're typically onto something. I've shared this before on my channel. There was a teacher, he was my favorite teacher. He was a social studies teacher. And I remember he said to me one day, he was like, Nicole, you need to be on TV, maybe doing the weather or something. And I was like, ha 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 ha, and so silly. But as these last years have passed, I always go back to that moment because at the time, there was no such thing as being an influencer, doing YouTube, etc. But yet, the last 4 years, that is what I have done for a job. And even there was a slight moment that I thought about him, and it was just before I decided to go to beauty school. And I remembered what he said, and I was like, I either want to go into radio broadcasting and journalism or do hair. I know it's very different, but I looked at both of those careers and it allowed me to talk for a living. And I've always been good at doing hair and makeup, etc. And so I went that route. It was a little bit easier and it wasn't as academic. And I look back at that moment in my life and I wish I could go back because I think you can learn to do hair and makeup, maybe not as a skill where you're doing it on other people, but I look at how I don't do that in my life right now, but yet I could have learned the basic skills to get me by for what I need right now. Whereas if I had gone into radio and broadcasting and journalism, that would have furthered me so much more in my career now than my hair and beauty and that aspect of it. So I think sometimes we need to be silent enough to hear when these people in our lives are making suggestions, even if it is in jest, and then go and investigate it. Because even if someone's joking about it, there's something that they're seeing in you that you might not be seeing in yourself. So tip number 3 is to use the tools. I know some people get a little bit funny about manifestation boards or vision boards, etc. But I think if you don't know who you are, you will often not be able to put something down on those boards. I am someone that has always struggled with a vision board or a manifestation board because I didn't really know myself. I didn't know what I wanted to put down on these boards. I would go put things down and I was like, okay, well, this seems a little bit frivolous. This seems a little bit materialistic. If this is my true vision board, is this really the thing that I'm going to put on here? And most of the things I was putting on it felt a little bit too materialistic to think that if this is what I really want to come true, this is all that I'm hoping and wishing for my life. And I think if I knew myself, I would have been able to put things on that board that I didn't feel like that about. So what are the tools that you can use in your life that's going to allow you to goal set in a way that honors who you are? And if you don't know who you are, how can you get to know yourself better? Now, tip number 4 is to make the effort and apply yourself. Once you've made a decision, this is going to be like a muscle that you have to work out and flex. And I think that's another thing that I look at a lot of my peers or people from my past, and I see that they made a decision, but they didn't actually stick it out. Now, I think there comes a point where you have to ask yourself, really, did I make a wrong decision here? But I often look at many people, it's the discipline that they needed to stick a situation out to the end and then make a decision as per if they needed to pivot or not. Because at the end of the day, there is no such thing as an overnight success. And I think that we live in this microwave culture that we're looking for the success right away. And when it doesn't come, we're like, oh, I'm not succeeding at it. And then we pivot. Whereas if we just kind of worked that muscle and stuck it through, we would be able to make an appropriate assessment of the actual situation. Which brings me into tip number 5. Don't be ruled by your emotions. Our emotions can be so easily conned. And I think when we, again, I think I mentioned this at the beginning of this video, or maybe it was the last one, but it was the Dunning-Kruger effect. When we learn the highs and the lows that we're gonna go through in situations, especially when we're looking to build our competence, which in turn builds our confidence, I think we can understand that emotional roller coaster. And I think when we are somebody that is being easily motivated and making decisions off of our emotions, we end up not making the right decisions because our emotions are ruling things. But emotions are so easily conned. They're so easily conned. Think about it when you watch a scary or a thrilling movie. You've got anxiety, your chest is tight, but yet you are not in threat. And that's just an easy example of how our emotions are so easily conned. So tip number 5, and the last tip in how to make goals or set goals like an old money woman, is to not let your emotions guide or dictate the goals that you're setting or the goal benchmarks that you're moving. Okay, so as we're wrapping up this video, there's one part that I wanted to read to you from this book, and it says, things to remember. You want to have direction and also define it in detail. Create vivid, 3-dimensional goals and dreams about what you want to be and do. Look at yourself in an honest but not limited light to help you define your direction. Let's again inquire within and ask yourself, what do I really enjoy doing? What am I naturally good at? With my skill set, interests, and personality, where do I fit in? What credentials or experience do I need to obtain in order to be qualified to do what I really love? Am I willing to work to get those credentials or experience intensely and consistently? If not, why not? What industry, field, or profession do I naturally gravitate towards? Do I feel like people are working in that industry are kindred spirits? What kind of plan can I put together with step-by-step actions, tangible targets, and reasonable deadlines to move in the direction of doing what I want to do? What resources are available to me and what can help me get there? And so again, I think going back to the example of me going to hair school and me wanting to go into radio and broadcasting and journalism, I was really good at talking. Ultimately, that is what I was really good at. And I think the thing that held me back from that was Am I willing to work to get those credentials or experience intensely and consistently? I made the choice of hair because it was easier. And it was easier, and I knew that I wanted to be a mother, and I looked at the most successful people in that industry, and they were mainly men. And so I think to round up this video, I think it's so important to do your investigation, because if I had investigated a little bit further, I would have maybe learned more unconventional ways that I could have been in a career like that would have had a longer longevity for me than just going to do hair. Because remember how I just said, the reason I didn't move forward with that because my biggest dream is to become a mother. But if you're a mother and you're working in a salon and you're working on all the weekends because that's your busiest days of the week, how are you getting to go be a mother as well? And so I think if I investigated a little bit better, I would have just been able to pick a career that would have given me further longevity as opposed to one that was just a season of my life. Anyways, my friends, that is it for this video. Are you enjoying this series? Have you picked up this book? If you are, I'd be so grateful. It really helps the YouTube algorithm if you press that like button. And if you haven't joined this community, because most of you that watch these videos aren't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Join the community. Maybe I should make some perks. If you made it to the end, let me know what you would want a perk to be. Thanks for watching. Bye.